Hello, this is Alex, and you're watching Animate Magic. Today we're going to try and create this kind of reassembling effect so that we can try and reassemble our hearts, because today is Valentine's Day as of times of recording this video. So let's try and get into it and see how we can do that. And I'll try and explain some basic RBD stuff along the way. The geometry node. So this will be our heart, and I will drop down this model that I got from Turbosquid, and you can find the link to that in the description below. And it's this thing. So basically we have this set of diamonds, very nice and totally free. So let's say diamonds, and then I would like to blast one of them, because we don't need this many, and I would do 9 to this selection mode, and here go to I believe it's groups, because this model has some diamond C, diamond C2, diamond C3 groups assigned to it. So I'll just choose this H2 and blast it, and then revert this so it's in the middle. Then I'll do some readjustment of scale, because right now this model is humongous, and with any kind of simulation, scale is kind of important. So we'll try to get it as close to a real life size as possible. So I'll move the centroid to origin, and right now it's like 300 meters by 300 meters, which is ridiculous. I'll do 0.01 and space G to zoom in on it. And for reference, I'll drop a sphere and just I'd like to compare how big is it, because this sphere is like just 1 square meter basically. So I want it even smaller, like 0.03. Okay, so that's more like it. So our model is in, and that's good. Let's delete what we don't need from the model. So this will be @delete, and I'll delete the rest of the groups, but this will be group delete. So let's just delete this shop material path, and then I need to take a little break. Don't think I can see it. Well, let's leave it for now. So with a more humane scale, we can basically fracture this geometry any way we want, because this is how fracturing and shattering of stuff in CG is done. We need to fracture an item before we get to actually animate it. So I'll just drop down an RBD material. Let's drop it for now. RBD material fracture. This is like a nice wrapper that side effects has done around basically most of the uh, RBD tools. So we have thing like that, just with one node with no setup. So that's pretty cool, and we have some nice presets here. So I would like this to be a glass because this is like this diamond, so I guess this could be glassy kind of interior stuff. And I'd like at least 3 impact points here, and yes, something like that. But you know what? I was thinking that for our initial, in the end I will end up using this, but for our initial tests, this might prove to be a little too slow. So I'll just do another kind of fracturing just to prove a point. So this will be points from volume. So we have points inside of our material. Damn. Okay. And then I'd like to do Voronoi fracture. Would that work? And as we can see, now we have this like very nice square kind of even pieces. So I'll go with this later and stay with the Voronoi pieces for now. So that is pretty cool. Then we would like to do assemble, and just FY for your knowledge, for your information, FYI, most of this tutorial is based on another tutorial by John Kunz, which I just watched today, and it's totally blew my mind. So if you want to dig deeper into this like whole topic, then I recommend you watch the original video because it's kind of amazing, just like pretty much every single stream that John ever did. So I'll name this init or some random stuff and drop a .NET. So this will be our RBD sim. And in the original, or like, yeah, I don't usually trust these like inputs into DOP networks. I don't know, for some reason I find that sometimes they are not that reliable. So I always prefer to use SOP and then just point it to the init directly, usually, because sometimes I was setting it to the thing and it kind of didn't pick it up, so let's just skip that headache and go with just a very direct reference. Okay, so within our RBD, we won't be doing too much of stuff in this one, I think, because I will just drop a pop force, and I'd like this to be just an explosion force that is on first 5 frames and make it kinda strong, like 10 or so. So blast it. Boom. Real-time playback, and we have it. We have essentially blown our heart apart. Well, sometimes it happens, so we'll work so that we can fix it. So for our fixing, we'll try and first mitigate the damage, so not this drag, pop drag. We don't use right, so pop drag, we don't want to use too much drags when when our heart is shattered. But this one can be here, and I'll leave it as like 0.25. So just slight, it's like explosion, and it's kind of slows down. And it slows down as it goes, I believe, or something. And then our main star, which would be pop force attract. So pop attract is here, and it has this special mode called points, and I will yet again point it to the initial positions, and 1 point per 1 particle. So what is happening here? Pop attract will create a force that will pull each and every one of our points to their initial positions. So how does it know that? Well, on these points, well, we don't really see that, but intrinsically every single point has an ID attribute that is getting simulated. So this is what this is called. We could totally make this ID attribute ourselves. This is just some integer that is assigned to every single piece of geometry. Say ID. Well, it's not here. I think it should be here. Let's try and simulate it a little. So we can see this is starting to get pulled back in. Okay, so I guess this thing creates the IDs. So every one of these has an ID, and then every single one of the particles has the ID, and they are getting pulled back to where they were. Boom, boom. Yeah, it's kind of getting there, but trying to this force, even if we make it super strong, it will start and overshoot the actual point and then wobble endlessly, basically. So we'll need to figure out how to stop that. So yes, I was thinking like that this kind of effect has to be done like with Vex, and that you can't really get this kind of precision in simulation, and it is somewhat true, but at the same time we can get kind of far with this approach. Okay, but first let's try and only start our attraction at frame that is bigger or equal to 48. So it's kind of cool, good enough. And this force is probably too much, so just reassemble it. Okay. And this is what blew my mind in the original tutorial by John. So we need to, I mean, there is really, it's not that it's some kind of super complicated code or whatever, but it's just the application of the stuff that's like, you know, small stuff adds up and builds more and more complicated effects, and that's just sometimes it's just mind-blowing what it can do. So I'll just call it something creative like code. And here we will do some stuff, but what's important is that we are doing the code in the post-solve and we are doing the forces in the pre-solve. I mean, it's somewhat important, but with this pop drag, I will also like to do a second pop drag that will actually be kind of stronger, but the second one will only launch $FF or SF is bigger than 40. So now at frame 40 they rapidly start to slow down and then they start to go back, which is kind of cool. You can see that with this our heart is pretty much assembled, and we are going to cheat this a little bit. So let's try and see how does it work out of the box. So I'll just go here and unpack our points. So we have all of the pieces here, but before we do that we will need a rest attribute that has to be on our points before we even start simulating them. So let's redo the cache. Okay, and then we do attribute wrangle and just v at p equal to lerp, which is linear interpolation at p, v at rest. So these are two vectors, position that and rest, which is also position but from before, and we are going to blend between them using, for now let's just use channel float and do bias. And let's not forget our semicolon. Do this and then at frame 72 and then at this one let's make it 1. So this is our, we are not previewing the code yet, this is how it looks now, and with the code let's see, it goes like this and then it reassembles super quickly and super artificially, but I suppose this could work. And all of this stuff is, I suppose, a viewport bug, but we can try and recalculate normals. Maybe that will help us fix it. Okay. So one time I did it, and recalculating normals was actually what caused this kind of issues, but for now it seems to fix them, so we'll leave it. So this is nice enough, but as you can see, this linear interpolation is like good for some kind of effects, but it also is kind of, as if you look really closely at some of these points, they are getting like squashed, stretched, because it's just basically taking where I am right now and where I should be, which is where I started as a hard, and just doing a very linear interpolation between these two values. This is why our stuff is getting stretched. So what we'd like to do is probably wait with this animation until our points are kind of closer to, until the simulation gets them closer to where they were. So this way it should probably look a little more organic, because they are like, let's say at this point most of these are kind of there. Now we're boom. But to be honest, it doesn't buy it. You can see some real trickery in here, and just it's like Okay, so how can we do better than this? So let's do more work inside of the sim to make it go back to its original position more firmly, and this way, so we'll do a vector that is called target position, and it will be equal to vector or, and before we do that, let's just read a sub in here, and this will also be the init. It's that null init. Yeah, so this, and then position, and then I add pt num. Vector. Okay, it's angry at me because I forgot my other point. So this will be point and this and this. So we are just specifying, casting this very specifically to be vectors. So we are getting the original position from these points, but these positions and the rest positions are actually kind of different, because up here we have actual geometry and points, and all of these points gets their original position, and in here we are packing the points so they can work nicely with the solver. And now every single of these pieces is represented by a point position which is in its center. So this is the position that we're getting in the vector. Okay, so I will do v at cd equal to fit distance of my current position and my target pos. And this should probably also be a vector or so. Because, yes. I forgot. If we are fitting it, then we should be fitting it. So 0 to 2.75 to 1 to 0. Better? Nope, not really. Let's do some spaces so I can see what's going on. And okay, so it kind of works. I guess they are getting darker, but this value is too big, so let's just do 1. Maybe it will be enough. So if you are far away from your position, so basically distance measures position between where I am and my target position, where I should be. And then we are fitting that value between 0 and 1 to 1 to 0, which is just inverting it, because if they are far away, then the value originally would be 1, and after fitting it will be 0, because we want them to go to black when they are far away and go back to 1 when they are close to their original position. Okay, so let's scale our attraction value by that as well. So let's just do force luminance of at CD. This is a new function for me. 0.75 maybe. So now if you are getting close to your original value, then you are getting increasingly stronger values of, maybe this is overkill for this one, I'll just 15. Increasingly strong values of this attraction force. If you are close to 1, then you're getting a lot, and if you are far away, then you're not getting all that much. And also we should be scaling drag by the same kind of amount, but in this case it will be a different, by the way, that's a good prompt, let's save it, and this will be REST. And if you want to check that, then you need to hover over it, and you can see that the parameter name is in fact resist. So we will also apply increasingly strong values of drag to the points that are closer and closer to their original position. So now, yes, they are getting mashed, but at the same time they are getting more drag. So yeah, these guys don't make it in time. And this one is even like stopping, so that's curious. Are they for real, or this is a viewport bug? Okay, so some of these are basically, let's just maybe do 3. Okay, reassembled pretty nicely. Oh, not really, but well, we'll try and make it work. So look at pop Lookat, and I almost don't know what this node is doing, but apparently it is doing something, because we can see now that our points are like somewhat more aligned, and we would like this Lookat to be the direction, and let's just do it with spin of 4 and 4 maybe. Oh, it's too strong. Let's do just 1. I wonder why these guys are stopping. What's stopping them? They are not even that far away. So that's curious. Okay, so let's drop another pop wrangle and disable the collisions. So for this one it will be as at collision ignore. Any collision, just ignore it. And do that after $SF is bigger or equal to 48. So after we start reassembly. Because honestly, they know where they need to go. We don't need them colliding no more. And with that, well, we have a problem. Some points don't want to listen to what we want to do. So let's see. Let's try to disable drag and see if that would work. Okay, this is a very basic one. Okay, I remember. So John also addressed this. So in here, in our packed object, by default under initial, no, bullet data. Yes, we have this enable sleeping. So if some points are getting too slow, then bullet is like, okay, this point is kind of stopped, so I'm not gonna bother with it, and is just disabling it and putting it to sleep. So if we disable that, then our sleeper points are reassembled. And honestly, with this reassembly of the direction by the Lookat, we probably can get away with this, because now the distance that we need to fix with our code in this node, so let's call it Lerp, is not that big, so it will be much less noticeable. So they are getting reassembled and then getting stopped basically by the Lerp. So that's cool and all, but we can get this just a tiny bit more sophisticated, because with this color attribute that we have, we can also drive two more values. We can do at active, which is for the points that are, I'm just I should have copied that, but sometimes I would like to write meaningless stuff. So target position, what we have. So this distance is bigger than 0.01. Then if you are true, then you're active, but if you're not true, then you're inactive. And active is basically a attribute recognized by bullet solver that is saying if something is simulated or not. If something is active to 0, then it's just like it's not gonna simulate it at all. So as you can see, we have a problem with this because some of our points are at the active position from the very start, and they're like totally unaffected by the simulation. So I'll try and just increase this value. No, I should decrease it. So let's do 0.05 maybe. Let's see if that fixes it. Not really. What if I would do solve on creation frame? And this force, make it even stronger and even swirlier. Okay. So some of our points are just too close for their own good. See if it works. Kinda works. So this stops the jiggling completely because they are coming back and getting deactivated by our hard forces. That's pretty cool. And I can also put that between 40 and 80 maybe, or even let's do a 120 by 168 between 0 and 1. I mean correct, define correct, but it would probably kinda sorta work, hopefully. So wait, fit is here, this is closed, and then this doesn't need to be here. Why are you mad at me? I'm sorry. So lerp, open, and then close here, and then frame is here and here. I forgot a multiplication sign, this one. So this is an argument, and this are two others. So now if our frame is getting to 120, it starts to interpolate it back into, and this is very neat expression, I just learned it. just like half an hour ago. So yeah, I guess this will be it for today. I really wanted to make more tutorials, but it's been kinda crazy lately. Uh, I wanted to do animated textures part 2, but it was giving me increasingly difficult problems, and I ended up diving really deep into USD and optimizing Solaris and Karma. So maybe if I manage to find some time, I'll make a tutorial about that. And I just really wanted to drop a tutorial today just because we have Valentine's Day and I had this idea about, and I was doing RBD lately. So, as I mentioned, don't forget to see the original tutorial about this reassembly effect by John Kunz. It is eye-opening, and literally every single one of his streams is a mine of knowledge that you can use in your future projects. And thank you for today, and I'll see you next time.